Welcome to episode 12 of my Yarny Corner. My name's Alex and I live in Yorkshire in the UK, and this is a podcast all about knitting and crochet. So welcome everybody, I hope that you're all okay. It's been a couple of weeks since my last podcast and I've got a few things to talk about today. I have some finished objects and some works in progress, and I've been nominated for the six pattern challenges on my bucket list. So I've got all that to get into. This is actually my second time recording this podcast today. I did record this morning and I went to edit the video and I had a grey t-shirt on which matched beautifully with this grey wall behind me. So perfectly, in fact, I was just a floating head. So I've had to record again. So it's now after school. It's Thursday the 17th of June. And it's really, really warm. So if I look a bit flushed, it's because it's so warm outside today. We've had gorgeous weather, but I like it around 18-20 degrees. That's absolutely perfect for me. But this really hot weather is just a bit much. And I do struggle in the heat. So yes, take two on this recording. What an idiot. I didn't even think. I just put this t-shirt on. I thought, oh, that looks quite nice. And didn't even give it a second thought until it came to editing. So there we go. So yeah, I'll put all the information below about where you can find me. I'm on Ravelry and Instagram. You can email me, and there is a Facebook page for this podcast. And anything that I talk about will be linked in the video below. So yes, let's get on. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to those of you who joined in with my tutorial last week. It was absolutely lovely, and it's been so nice reading all the comments and getting some feedback for the tutorial. And there was even a lady peony bear which I was tagged in on Instagram. I absolutely loved her. She's just beautiful, and it really brought a smile that people have enjoyed making it, so thank you so much. We shall start with the first finished object, which is going to be crochet, which is the tutorial that we did last week. So as you all know by now, I've been making a bear for every month of the year and just sharing a couple along the way, which is why I did the tutorial last week. So after reading the comments after the last episode, people had said that they would like a pattern to follow along with the tutorials. That's what I did. I spent a couple of days designing a new bear, and this is the one that I came up with. This is Lady Violet Bear. She's all done in DK weight, and she's just single crochet all the way around. There's a couple of different stitches with the hat and the flower, but other than that, she's all single crochet. So yeah, this is what we did for the tutorial. Sorry, a bow's come undone. There we go. And I've really enjoyed designing this bear. So this is the other one, the one that I made on the tutorial video. So we have two. Absolutely lovely. So yeah, they're all done in DK weight. It's just a single stitch, which is single crochet, which that is the American terms. In the UK, it's a double crochet stitch. Really simple to do, very tiny. If you look at it against my hand, you can see it's quite small. The hardest part of this bear for the tutorial was joining the legs, because as you can see, the legs are worked and joined straight onto the body. And that was the hardest part of the tutorial, I think. But I tried to make things as clear as I possibly could. And so I was so pleased that people joined in and had a go along with me. And I would like to do some more tutorials. So if there's anything that you would like me to do in a tutorial, just let me know. Leave me a comment or send me an email or a message. And preferably crochet. I'm still quite new with knitting. Crochet is what I've done for a lot of years, and knitting is still quite new. Although I'm really enjoying the journey, but I wouldn't feel confident to do a knitting tutorial. I think there's plenty of people out there that can do fantastic knitting tutorials, and there is for crochet as well. But no, if you would like me to do a tutorial on anything crochet, just send me a message, and if I know how to do it, I will do a tutorial. Whoops, just lost a hat. So yeah, this is the first one that I designed, and this is a free pattern on Ravelry. So if you'd like to go and download that on Ravelry for free, I will leave a link in the description box below. And yeah, that is my first, well, technically that's 2 finished objects. So yeah, finished objects number 1/2. So that is that one. My second finished object is the Show Us Your Scraps Mitts by Laura Bales. You have seen these before. I started these a couple of months ago. I wanted to make these to go in the Christmas gift box. So I pulled them out and finished these off the other day. These are made in 4-ply. The pattern comes in 2 sizes. There is small and large. I made the large size because I do have quite big wrists. But if I put them on to show you, see, they're absolutely gorgeous, and they are a very, very quick make as well. They take no time at all. So this is them. So there is a 2x1 ribbon on the edges here, around the thumb and the cuff there. And you can make this as long or as short as you want. It is 4-ply yarn as well. I did these magic loop, and I'm pretty certain you can do them double pointed needles as well. And like I say, these were due to go in the gift box for Christmas gifts, which I can actually do because I don't know how I did this, but look what I did. One is quite a bit shorter than the other. That's because I'm still binge watching 24. So I was making these while I was watching 24 and clearly paying no attention to the measurements whatsoever. So cannot give them as a gift, but I don't mind because mine are starting to wear out a little bit now. I've worn mine so much over the winter. I just keep mine in my handbag, and they're great for driving. They're great for when you're out shopping because you've got all your fingers and your thumb free. So yeah, I'm quite happy to have a second pair of these. But yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous, and you can't tell that one's longer than the other when you're wearing it. But certainly not one that I'd want to give as a gift when they're not quite right. But yeah, love them, perfect. So that is my finished object number 2. I've had quite the week this past week for finishing whips, and I don't know how I've done it because I did the tutorial last week. And then I've still managed to finish some whips as well. But they're all small projects, that's why. This one, I'd done the first one, and the second one was up to about here, so I only literally had, you know, this top bit to go. So they didn't take too long to finish. So finished object number 3/4 is a pair of socks. Last time I did an episode, I was talking about how I'd lost my sock mojo, and I was really quite down about it because I'd made quite a lot of socks from sort of September to March time, but then really started to suffer with the second sock syndrome so much that I just couldn't bring myself to make any socks. And I toyed with the idea of making a sock tube and then just adding heels, toes and cuffs. But I came across this pattern from Megan Dawn, who is Purl Passion on YouTube. I can just show you the front page. And these are them. This is Simplistic 2 at a time socks. And they are worked toe up. So I was really intrigued to give 2 at a time socks a go. And I think I'd heard probably more horror stories than anything else about how you just end up in a tangled mess. I was a little bit nervous, but I thought I'm just going to give it a go. And the other thing is, I have made 2 toe up socks before and never really been overly impressed because you do get a baggier cuff. So it's kind of put me off making them a little bit. But I gave it all a go and I'm so pleased that I did. So this is them. There is 2, but I'm just using the other sock blocker. You'll see why in a minute. So this yarn is one of my hand-dyed yarns. It doesn't actually have a name because it was just a prototype. This one is the green lambkins. It was the mini set from the giveaway yarn that I did. She kind of sent me a skein as well. So this is them. Now you start with a Turkish cast on, which there are instructions in the pattern, which was super helpful because I did look on some YouTube tutorials and didn't quite find any for Turkish cast on with 2 at a time socks. So I struggled a little bit, but luckily the instructions in the pattern were very, very clear. So I managed to cast them on. Now the cuff has a sewn bind off, which again is nothing that I've ever done before. But I wanted to stick to the pattern and really just see what would happen. So I I worked up until the heel, and I made sure I had 7 inches for the heel, until I got to the heel, sorry, and then another 2 inches here for the heel. And I've just done shorty socks for the summer. So I did these and then realised that you do get this baggy cuff that in the past has always put me off making toe-up socks. So I thought I would do a little bit of an experiment and make a second pair, but make them cuff down. Ta-da! As if by magic, here they are. So this yarn is one of mine. And with these ones, I worked the heel and then worked 7 inches from the end of the heel to the toe, and then that gave me 2 inches for the toe, which is 9 inches, which is what I need. I did manage to find a tutorial online for starting the cuff on 2 at a time socks. I thought I'd prefer this one because the cuff is much tighter, and if you can see, I can hold it that way, you can see the difference in the cuff. One is much baggier. When these are on, you can't tell at all. They still fit snugly to your feet, so you really can't tell. So I thought I'd prefer these ones, but when I've tried these ones on, they don't fit nearly as well as the toe up. Now it's because the toe up is so much easier to measure. When you're measuring with the cuff down, all the stitches are rolling, so it's hard to measure it properly without pulling on the yarn. So these just don't fit quite as well. So what I'm going to do, I love them both. I'm pleased I've got them both. Now on to all my other socks I've got are top down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wear these a few times, and as long as that doesn't bag up, which I don't think it will, these have been blocked, I don't think it'll bag up any more than that. And I'll probably just knit more toe up, to be honest. I mean, there's no Kitchener stitch because you're starting at the toes with the Turkish cast on, which is super, super easy. It's just a case of holding 2 needles together and wrapping the yarn round. That's all you need to do. So yeah, I've put in a Fish Lips Kiss heel on both socks. This one, obviously there's no contrast yarn on that one. And this one has the nice pink contrast yarn. I toyed with the idea of the contrast yarn just being the heels and the toes. I don't like it when it's heels, toes and cuffs. I think it can be a little bit much. This way is the other way, just heels and toes. And I think it actually looks better this way. And when you're doing the Fish Lips Kiss heel as well, if you've used a contrast yarn, because you do get, you can't see on that side, you can see more on this side. You see, you still get a little bit of a gap there. Can you see that? See if I can show you on this second sock. It still looks a bit gappy. When you use the contrast, when you're using a contrast colour for your heel, you can really sew that in so you don't get that problem. Can you see? It's sewn in, it's much, much neater. So I think I'll definitely stick to doing the contrast colour in the heels and toes. But super, super proud to have my sock mojo back. I feel like me again. I don't know where it went, I don't know who took it, but it's back. So they're only taking, on the 2 at a time socks, about 4 or 5 days to make, which is much quicker than what, I mean, my socks before would take, because I'd had the second sock syndrome, a pair of socks could take me 2 or 3 months. So yeah, super pleased to have my sock mojo back. And I've got some more socks all ready to cast on as well. I think I've just started another pair of socks. I can pull this out. This is a project bag that I got off Etsy. Totally inappropriate because it's not Halloween, but I'm really low on project bags. I've only got 3, so I've just got to use the ones that I've got. So yeah, these are just the toes. And the main colour is going to be West Yorkshire Spinners in Rum Paradise. Absolutely love these. It's so bright. I've made a pair in these before, in this yarn before, but my youngest son stole them. So they are his socks. I wanted another pair. I'm hoping I'm going to have enough of this yarn. It was a 100 gram skein that I had. and I made my son a pair of socks. I think I had about 50 grams left, so I'm hoping I've got enough. I've got 2 of these balls. So yeah, I do have some more socks on the go. Really, really pleased to have that sock mojo back, because it's been a challenge not having it. And to be honest, with the weather being as warm as it is, I've not wanted to work on my sweater at all because it's just too warm, and the same with the Stephen West shawl. Socks are just so easy to work on when it's this warm. So yeah, that is my first work in progress stroke finished object stroke, I don't know. I will link below the patterns to the Purl Passion 2 at a time socks for anybody that wants to give them a go. It isn't, you do have 2 skeins of yarn attached because you've got 2 socks on, and you can do it magic loop or you can use 2 circular needles. I did use 2 circular needles, but it's not as hard. I didn't get in a tangle at all. It was quite easy to keep the yarn separate, and when you got to the end of one sock, I didn't use the wrong ball of the wrong skein of yarn at all. It was quite easy to see I got to the end of a sock and it was another skein of yarn to use, so it wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be. So if you've not tried 2 at a time socks before, if you've been like me, you've been put off, do give it a go, because they're not as hard as people think they are. So next work in progress is my Stephen West shawl. This is the Winterlight shawl, and when I showed you last episode, I'd just finished this raised section here. So there's quite a bit of work gone into this. It doesn't look it, but there are a lot of stitches on here now, so there has been quite a bit of work gone into this. I'm just in the honeycomb section. Now, here we go. You can see I'm just about to finish this green. I'm going to go over it with the white next. All done in 4-ply yarn. There are 4 colours. You've got your main colour, which for mine is the white, and then 3 contrast colours. So this is, oops, all in a tangle. This is my first contrast colour. And my second. I think these are both Dye and Knit with Kate. One's this colourway is Oriental, and this is Blueberry Yogurt. I can't believe I remembered that then, it just came to me. Yeah, Oriental and Blueberry Yogurt. This one does have a small amount of alpaca in, but it's still super soft. Normally I do react with alpaca, but it's only a tiny amount, so it's fine, and it's on the shawl, it's fine. And this one is the Green Lambkin yarns that was the giveaway yarn. I think it's Fairy Forest, and that one's got a lovely sparkle on it. Can you just about picking it up there? It's absolutely gorgeous. So they're my 3 contrast and my main colour, which is just that one there. Now, just pop them down a minute without them rolling anywhere. Stephen does show you on, when you get his patterns, there is a tutorial for absolutely everything on YouTube, so you're not going to get stuck on anything. Now, he does show you how to weave, it's called my ends here, how to weave in the ends as you go, and it's called the Weaving Stevens method. I did do it a couple of times, but I just don't trust it. I'm sure that it's absolutely fine. I've been tugging and tugging at the back of this to see if it will come out, and it's not budged at all. So I'm sure the Weaving Stephen method is absolutely fine. But I'm just going to weave in as I normally would, just for my own peace of mind, because I don't want to put so much work into this beautiful shawl and then have ends coming undone. So this is the back. That's all the floats. And it actually makes it quite thick, so it's going to be really, really warm. But yeah, really enjoying it. The hardest section I've come across so far is this one here. This is called the, what's it called now? Is it dropped? It's called the bubbles, and you basically drop a stitch and then pick it up. But again, there's a tutorial on YouTube, so it's super, super easy. It's not difficult at all. And all I'm going to be doing next is doing 3 more of these honeycomb sections, which will take me up to about here, and then there's a big wavy border on after that, but it's going to look gorgeous. I really, really love it. Can't wait to finish it. I wasn't sure if I'd done the right thing by going for the white as the main colour, because a lot of the ones I've seen on Instagram have quite a dark colour for the main colour. I don't know. We'll see when it's finished. We'll see. But yeah, really, really love it. So that is my second work in progress. My third work in progress is the amazing Jelly Roll blanket by Kay Jones. This pattern's only been out a couple of weeks. She had hinted on her podcast that she was going to be making a new design and to start collecting minis, which I had been doing. I'd been scurrying minis for a few weeks. So I've managed to get a nice bag full of minis and scraps and things like that. I'm not sure I'll have enough to finish the blanket in this bag, but if I get on with the Stephen West shawl, I'll have some more scraps from that as well. But this is it. This is the amazing Jelly Roll blanket. So I'm still on strip 1. I've cast on a few more stitches than what Kay had said in the pattern, just because I had smaller needles. That's the only reason why. And I wanted it totally random. The only thing I've done is matched the colour to the colour that's next to it. Other than that, it's totally random. There's no order of the length of colour. There's no order of what colours I've chosen. I've just kept it as random as I possibly can, because that's the look that I want from it. And I do want it slightly bigger than a lap size blanket, so yeah, I'm still on strip 1. But I don't know, I don't think I want it that much bigger. Probably a few inches yet, and I'll move on to strip 2. But I'm really enjoying it, and it's so exciting because you're seeing, you know, you're not getting bored of just doing one colour, and you're seeing it all come together. But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. It's gorgeous. I'll put a picture on the screen of Kay's pattern. So what you'll do is, once you've done your first strip, you'll cast that off, then you'll start again at the bottom, but you'll join it to this strip as you go. So it'll grow sideways like that. So this will be like an end strip. So yeah, really, really impressed with that. It's lovely. And I'm managing to use every scrap of scraps that I've got as well. And it's funny because as I'm making them, I'm looking at the yarns, and that's a Somerset Yarns one. And this one here, this is Wild Rose Yarns. That was the first hand-dyed yarn that I ever bought. I was so excited to get this one. I've still got a tiny bit of it left for another section. But yeah, really, really impressed. That's some more of the green lambkin one. That's one of mine. Just, yeah, absolutely gorgeous. I love it. So I'm really enjoying making that as well. And I think that's everything for the works in progress. Because I've finished off quite a few things this week. I've only got the Whitmore sweater to do. But it's just too warm to work on it. It's been so hot over the past couple of weeks. It's been crazy. Like I say, I don't cope well in the heat at all. So I was nominated by the lovely Karen from the Stitches and Jacks podcast to do the 6 patterns on my bucket list challenge. So thank you very much, Karen, for the nomination. I was really pleased to be nominated. So I had a good look around. I've got quite a few favourites on Ravelry at the moment, but it was really hard to narrow it down to my 6 favourites. But I think I've got it, and they're all ones that I want to be starting this year. I don't think it's possible to start them all this year, but they are ones that I do want to start this year. So the first one is the V-Back Tee by Jamie Hoffman. Now, normally I wouldn't go for a sweater, a short sleeve sweater, but I was watching Chevy Rell and she'd made it out of a Halloween advent, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. So I think I'd do a sort of similar thing. I'd make it a little bit of a scrappy tee. So yeah, definitely want to make that. And because it's only short sleeves, I don't think it'd be... I suppose you could just make it into long sleeves, couldn't you? I suppose I could do that. That's an idea. Anyway, the first one is the V-Back Tee by Jamie Hoffman. The second one is the Jelly Roll blanket, which is already my work in progress. And now that is going to be a long-term project. It's not going to be finished before the winter starts. But again, I'm really enjoying making that. So I'm enjoying the process of making it as well, not just trying to get to the end product. The third one is the Engineered Seams Sweater by Judith Brien. I'd seen this pattern on Ravelry months ago, probably when I first started taking knitting a little bit more seriously. As you know, I've always been a crocheter. How do you say that? I've always been someone that crochets. And I could knit a square and I could knit a scarf, and that was fine. But then I really started getting into knitting and just learning all the new things with it. And I've really enjoyed doing it. But I did look at this sweater and think there's no way on earth I could make that. But I really do like it. I'll pop a picture on the screen. Definitely one that I want to give it a go. The fourth one is, now you see, it wouldn't be my bucket list challenge if I did not have the odd Locatelli pattern in here. We all know I'm a super fan. So number 4 is the Big Old Coat by Locatelli. This one is another one that's been on my favourites for a while. More so because especially my son goes to a school that's not in the village, so there's a bit of a drive to my son's school, and I hate driving in coats. So I want something that I can put on that's still going to be warm, that I can feel more comfortable driving in, and that is this pattern. I think it'll be absolutely perfect. So that's called the Big Old Coat by Locatelli. And then, of course, number 5, I've whittled on about this enough, is the Boxy by Locatelli. That's been on my bucket list for months. So that is another one that I really want to make. And number 6, I think I showed this on one of the very, very early podcasts. It's called The Rose by Andrea mowry, and it is just a stunning, stunning pattern. I think when I first saw it, I thought that it was a fingering weight pattern, but it's not, it's a sport. And that's the bit that's thrown me with this pattern, because in the UK we don't tend to use sport weight. I think the stranded Dyeworks, don't quote me on it, but I think she does do some sport weight yarn. I'll have to have a look. But it's not really a yarn that we use. We have fingering, then we go to double knit, and sport is just in the middle. So I've sort of ummed and ahed, thought, would I do fingering? Would I do DK? I don't really know what I'd do, but I suppose you could you do fingering and lace? Or I could just go to the Stranded Dyeworks website and buy some sport weight, because I think she does it. But yeah, it's an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous pattern. And I think when I've looked at the project notes on Ravelry, it's constructed sideways. So yeah, definitely, definitely another one for my bucket list. So now it's time for me to give the nomination out. I have contacted these people before. I only have 2, because I contacted a few people, but a lot of people have been nominated already. So I was supposed to nominate 3 people, but I have 2. So first of all, I would like to nominate Suzanne from Green Lambkin Yarns, and I am going to nominate Caroline from Arya Designs for your 6 patterns on my bucket list challenge. So yeah, I'm really excited to do one of those. When I finished the Whitmore, when I finish the Whitmore, if I pull my finger out, I'm going to cast on one off the bucket list, I think. I'm not going to get all these bucket list ones done by the end of the year, there's no way. But I'll either cast on the Boxy or the Rose cardigan, I think. If I don't, when I finish the Whitmore, because I'll only have 1 sweater on the needles. So when I finish the Whitmore, if I've not cast on a sweater that's off my bucket list, you have permission to shout at me and tell me off. See, I'm so flaky. I'll see things on Instagram. I'm like, oh, I might do that instead. But no, I'm definitely going to cast on one of those for my next project. Definitely. And if I don't, you can tell me off. So I don't have any incoming goodies at all. I've been super good. I haven't bought any more yarn, and I haven't bought anything over the past couple of weeks. But I've been busy doing the tutorial, so that will be why. So yeah. So I was speaking to Megan from Purl Passion. We had a video chat. Was it last week or the week before? And it was lovely to be able to catch up when we were talking and chatting, and cars came up and we were talking about cars. And I said, oh, I'm really lucky. My car doesn't give me any bother. I've got a Mini. And I said, my car doesn't give me any bother. You know, I've been really lucky with it. And even when it does need work doing on it. My son's a mechanic and I get work really cheap and everything's fine. It's always fine. Well, that's what they call tempting fate. Because on Sunday, when me and Danny were going to his brother's to watch the football game, I'd got all dressed up for an afternoon of barbecue and been in the garden. And Danny was all dressed up. I'd done all my hair, my nails were all done. Comes out of the village in the car and it totally cut out. It had broken down a couple of weeks ago. It's had a problem. The oil light has been flashing, not staying on, just flashing, to say there was no oil in the car. There has been oil in the car. So my son was sort of saying, oh, bring it down when you get a chance, I'll have a look at it. But it, you know, it'd been running fine. This light had just been intermittently just flashing on for a few seconds and going off again. So I wasn't too concerned about it. But it broke down right in the middle of a roundabout in such a dangerous place. I said to Danny, you're going to have to push the car. We can't leave it here. It's just dangerous. And it was kind of uphill as well. So the poor guy had to push this car to get into a safe place. Oh my God, I was so mad. I thought, what am I going to do? I don't have home start on my car, on my breakdown cover either. So we weren't a mile from home, so I couldn't even call a breakdown service. So I get out of the car and I went to the side of the road. And Danny said, it's okay, just we'll ring Jake and then we'll just get a taxi to my brother's, it'll be fine. That was the moment a bird decided to take a huge poo on my head. Honestly, you couldn't write it. So my lovely hair that had all been done was just totally ruined. All down the back of my dress, totally ruined. Couldn't believe it. So I rang my son and he managed to get the car going again just to get it home, and we got it towed to the garage. And it was the oil sensor that had broken. It was telling the car there was no oil, so it shut off all power to the car to save the engine. So luckily he was able to lend me his car so I could still get my little boy to and from school. I've only got my car back this morning. It's amazing how much you're used to your own car. My son's a mechanic, as I've said, and his car is just covered in oil and grease because he gets in it with his dirty overalls, and I'm sort of getting out of the car at school thinking, oh, I got oil all over me. I was so grateful to borrow his car, but I just wanted to clean it or cover the seats at least. But bless him, he was so kind to lend me his car. But yeah, so that was that. That was funny. So that's my own fault for tempting fate. You should never say, I don't have any problems with anything. It's totally, totally my own fault. Other than that, I've not really done anything. I've still been binge watching on 24. I'm on season 6 now. So 3 more seasons to go and I shall get my life back. I've said before that I don't watch a great deal of TV, but when I find something to watch on Netflix, I do totally binge, and I don't do anything else, I just binge on that. So yeah, I've nearly finished that now. But other than that, there's not a lot going on. We've not been out anywhere other than, you know, walks around the village and to the park and things like that. We've not really been out anywhere or done anything yet. So there's not a great deal of exciting things to tell you other than knitting. So I think that is everything. I think I've waffled on for enough. So that's everything for this week. Like I said, leave me a comment below if you'd like to see any other tutorials or you've got any feedback or anything like that. It's always, always welcome. And thank you so much for taking the time to come and sit with me for half an hour and spend a little bit of time with me. And I shall see you all in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.